So good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar regarding the Fast Track Call within the EP PerMed project. I think we can already kick off. We already have more than 90 participants, so we can already start our presentation today. Just 1 second. I hope that everybody can hear me and you can see my slides. So let's kick off. So this is the main section that we will go over today. So we'll start with an introduction and an opening statement. Then we'll talk about a really critical point, which is personalized medicine and the definition of personalized medicine, because this is the basis of the project, the EP PerMed project. So it makes sense to actually explain what's personalized medicine mean and what is for you as an applicant for this specific call. Then we'll talk about the actual program, the processes, the eligibility criteria, and we'll go also some use cases, just to give you like an idea how usually the validation process goes within the program. We will give you some insights regarding the Fast Track Call for 2025. So this is the second Fast Track Call. We already had an open call last year, and we already selected the project, and it's ongoing. So we'll give you just a quick overview about the Fast Track Call for last year. And we'll conclude with some wrap-up and closing, and hopefully some questions from your side. Just some housekeeping rules or some organizational aspects. You can use the Q&A section to ask questions, or also you can also raise your hand and just unmute yourself and talk. We want to have it more interactive, just to keep the flow of the presentation. I will ask after each section if anyone has a question, you can raise your hand and ask it. Or at the end, we can also take all the questions at the end of the presentation. As I mentioned, you can either use the Q&A or raise your hand and unmute yourself. During the presentation, please keep your mic off just to avoid any background noise. And also the slides and the recording will be shared in the EP PerMed website. So just wait a couple of days and you can find them in the website of the EP PerMed. So to kick off, I will give the floor to Ilyas. So one of the work package lead at the European Partnership of Personalized Medicine. Ilyas, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, perfect. Yeah. So also good morning from my side to all of you. So I'm Ilyas Al-Hawari. I'm a policy advisor to the Flemish government and also work package leads within EP PerMed. So I'll just be giving you a very short overview of the structure of EP PerMed and the different calls and activities that we do, and also some useful resources for you to have a look at. So the partnership's headed by our German partner, DLR, and we, as the Flemish government, are in the lead for one of the work packages, as Ilyas said, work package 3, which is the work package focusing on innovation. So basically, the whole partnership tries to span the entire innovation cycle, going from basic research to innovation to implementation via these different work packages. And so work package 3, the innovation one, is the one that also the Fast Track Call stems from. Just to kind of give you an overview of the structure. And here are some numbers on the partnership. So at the moment, we consist of 61 partners. I say at the moment because this number is steadily growing over the years. And they come from over 28 countries and 11 regions. And together, these partners pledge about 275 million euros to the partnership. And then this budget is topped up by the EU with about 100 million, totaling around 375 million euros that is invested in personalized medicine. So as mentioned, in research, innovation, and implementation. And this is done over a time frame of about 10 years from the start of the partnership. And so on the next slide, you'll see what I mean by innovation cycle. So on the right, you have this cycle. So you see it starts off with basic research and it goes all the way to standard practice. And on the left, you have some of the different calls and activities that we organize that span this cycle. So for example, you see on the left, the joint transnational call that we do. This is kind of the really big call that we organize every year, which focuses also on multinational research projects and focuses more on the early TRL cycles. We have the Fast Track Validation Call, which of course you're familiar with. We have our Research, Innovation and Technology Call, which is also quite a big call, which focuses on testing solutions of companies in real world settings. So this means hospitals, care centers, etc. We also have a twinning call, which tries to facilitate the exchange of people between different public administrations, so national, regional governments, for example, to exchange knowledge on the different practices that are happening in these public institutions. So this is some of the calls, and for activities, for example, we have our Venture Creator program, which is focusing on early career researchers that just launched a startup for them to be guided by experienced mentors in this kind of startup endeavor. We have a hackathon also for which registrations are open at the moment. So if you or anyone you know is interested in this, please have a look. And we also have, for example, a big event in which we try to bring together end users, so doctors, patients, etc., with innovators to have them co-create solutions for also real-world problems. So this is just a quick overview of what we do. It doesn't encompass everything that we do. If you'd like to have a look at that, please consult the websites. There is more information also on each of these calls and activities for you to have a look at. And then finally, on the next slide, there are some useful resources for you. On the left, we have our strategic research and innovation agenda. So this is kind of our strategic agenda in which we highlight our goals, our strategic approach, the challenges that we try to address, the thematic areas that we are interested in. So please have a look at this if you'd like to know more about the partnership. And on the right, something else that might be interesting to you is this project database that we have on the website, in which we have an overview of all the projects that we funded, that were also funded by our predecessor, PerMed. And you can easily filter for the different calls, thematic areas, country, etc. And so, interestingly, also the projects funded by the previous Fast Track are also in this database. So if you'd like to have a look at what these projects were focusing on, and learn more about that, please have a look at the projects database. So that's it for me. For more information, please consult the websites. You can also email the following email address. This is monitored by our coordinator, DLR. And please, I encourage also all of you to follow the LinkedIn page because there we post all of our the most up-to-date information, all the calls and activities that we do. So you're up to speed with this. Okay, thank you, Elias. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. So this is a quick introduction about the project in general. So now we will go in more details. So the first thing is to talk about personalized medicine. What does personalized medicine mean, and what is like the definition that we give to personalized medicine? Because the basis of the project in general, and also the program, the Fast Track program, is to support personalized medicine solution. So based on the definition stated in the EP PerMed Syria, so the personalized medicine refers to a medical model using characteristic of individuals' phenotypes or genotypes for tailoring the right therapeutic strategy for the right person at the right time, or to determine a predisposition to the disease, or to deliver a timely and targeted prevention. So here I want to highlight some key words here. So this is what you need to know before actually applying to the program, and if your solution or idea can go within this definition. So this is really important that your solution uses characteristic of individuals. We are talking about molecular profiling, medical imaging, lifestyle data, just to deliver the prevention, therapeutic strategy, or anything that can help the patient at the end. So there are also some other words that are used instead of personalized medicine, which is stratified medicine or precision medicine. So this is also a common word that usually we use, but within the project we are using the personalized medicine, and this is the definition that you need to take into consideration. If you have any questions, or if you are not sure if your solution will go under the specific definition, you can always reach out to us, and we can have a discussion and see if your solution would be like classified as a personalized medicine solution. Now we'll talk about the call the call specifically. So what is the call entails, and what are the eligibility criteria, the evaluation criteria, and the admission process in general. As I mentioned, if you have any questions, you can also raise your hand or ask in the Q&A section. So the Fast Track program. So who can apply? So Startups or a team slash a research affiliated with an academic or healthcare research organization can apply to this program. So we are talking about an independent startup, like they have already an incorporated a company, and they can apply to this program, or a set of teams, set of people that, as a team or researchers that are affiliated with an academic or healthcare research organization. Individuals are not eligible to apply to this program. So you need to be affiliated to a hospital or university, or have an incorporated startup to apply to this program. The solution must be at least of TRI3. So in the core document, we have information about how you can define where your solution is based on, in which technological readiness level is. So for the funding and support, we give up to 80K for per project. For this year, we are supporting around five selected startups. And also, you can collaborate with top tier validation centers. With our support, also, we can also give you access to our network to see which validation center would be most suitable for you to validate your solution. So please take note about these key dates, especially the submission deadline, which will be the 10th of March. So at 4 p.m. So please make sure that you submit before this deadline, and please avoid the last minute submission, because there is always some technicals. Sometimes there is some technicals issue, or so to avoid any issues here. So the expected outcome for this specific project is to the project to gain critical evidence and improve their TRL level, and also advance toward commercialization. So those are the expected outcome of the program, and this is what we try to provide to the five selected startups or teams within this program. Okay. So the process in general, so this is the funding, as we mentioned, it's 80K per project as a lump sum funding. So the funding distribution would be, so this is one of the eligibility criteria. Also, we at least 70% of funding need to go to the validation center that you have selected. And the contract will be a trilateral agreement with PerMed, the applicant, and validation center. Sometimes you can always use more than one validation center if it is needed. So the contract will be on four levels. So PerMed, the applicant, and two validation center in some cases. So the first aspect is to apply to the project. So you can submit your proposal through the call of our application platform. I will show you later on how it works and how you can actually go directly to the call for application platform. Then we will have the EP Pyramid with the help of some external evaluator. Will evaluate the application and invite the top 10 applicants to the next stage. So from this is the first stage where we select 10 startup to go to the project plan phase, or stage where the applicants and their validation center that you have selected will create a detailed project plan of the validation study that you aim to achieve. The project plan will be also evaluated and will go to the funding decision, where 5 out of the 10 applicants will be selected and move to the contracting phase. Then the funding will be dispersed upon signature of all agreement. So once the agreement is signed, then the funding will be sent out to all the parties. So the project implementation will start once the agreement is signed, and it will take 6 months. You need to align with the project plan that you have submitted, and also the budget that you have submitted during the project plan phase. Then finally, the applicant, together with the validation center, will submit a final report. So this is from the applicant side, that they need to submit their final report, but the validation center is also required to support in this aspect. And once you submit your final report, then the final transfer of funding will be sent out to all the parties as well. Okay. So the eligibility and submission of process for the fast track program. So the eligibility criteria, the first one is to submit your application in English and before the deadline, as I mentioned, the 10th of March at 4 p.m. So application can be submitted by a startup or a team / researcher affiliated with an academic or healthcare research organization, and make sure that your solution must be at least of TRR3 or more. The proposed solution must also align with the definition of personalized medicine that we explained in the beginning. And both the startup at the stage one and also the validation center at stage two need to be registered in an EU member state or a Horizon Europe associated country. So for the application process, if you align with this eligibility criteria and you can submit your application, you go to this link to apply.eithealth.eu. So once you go here, so you already have an account, you can log in directly. If not, you can just click on register, and you'll have this option to register as depending on your profile. So please make sure to select one of those two. If you are a startup, please make sure that you register a representative of a startup or independent team, so the last one. And if you are a team or a researcher affiliated with an academic or healthcare research organization, please make sure that you register as a representative of an organization. So please make sure to make the difference depending on what's your profile and and how you want to submit your application. So once you register, you will have this dashboard. So you can actually go and check all our program and opportunities. And once you select, you can see the EP PerMed Fast Track Call 2026, and you can just click on Apply Now, and you have your application form to fill out. In case you have, in some cases where you may have this message that your organization type is not eligible in front of EP Permit Fast Track, so please reach out to us. Most probably you have registered with the wrong profile, so we can support you on that as well. So the timeline. So this is the timeline, the overall timeline of the Fast Track program. So now we are in the ANFO days, the 20th of January 2026. The application deadline is the 10th of March 2026. We'll have the remote evaluation, which include also the eligibility check between the 11th of March and 12th of April. Then we'll have the remote review notification of the first stage will be on the 17th of April. This is when we will reach out to the 10 first selected startups. Then we will go to the stage two validation plan and budget, where you are required to submit a validation, where you're required first to find the validation center and submit a validation plan and your budget along with your validation center. And this will be from the 20th of May until the 8th of June. Then we have the funding decision notification on the 9th of June. This is where we are selecting the final five startups. And you can, once all the agreements are signed, you can kick out your validation studies from the 13th of June onwards. And the final report due date will be on the 13th of April, 2027. So now we talked about the eligibility check, the timeline as well. Now, what is the evaluation process? How we will evaluate you as an applicant to actually join the program. So as I mentioned, we have two-stage process. The stage one process is an initial application, and the stage two is a project plan and the budget. So this is the stage one is submitted directly by the applicant through the call application platform. This stage score will represent 70% of the total final score, and we are focusing on three main criteria, which are the activity excellence and the strategic fit. So this is the innovation of your solution, how your solution fits within the personalized medicine definition, etc. The implementation and feasibility, how you want to implement your solution, what are the main areas that you want to tackle to actually improve your solution and go from one TRL to another. And at the end, the impact and sustainability, how your solution will impact the life of patients and all the life of the citizens. And this is also taken into consideration during the evaluation. The stage two application, which take into consideration your project's plan and the budget. The first one is to how the implementation and feasibility of the project's plan. Is it feasible? How to implement it? How the resources are distributed? Then the lump sum budget Excel. So we have a template that you need to fill out, which is also evaluated to see if the resources have been distributed fairly and clearly. And the last one is the LC review, or is what's referred to the ethical, legal, and societal issue review. And this is also taken into consideration, and we also share with you some information to actually take into consideration regarding the ethical aspects of your validation process. So for the stage two, so that for the stage one, the top 10 pre-selected applicants will be invited to provide a detailed validation plan, including the budget Excel that I mentioned. So this is really important. So if the study plan to foresee ethical approval, it must be submitted to the respective ethical board. So this is on you and your validation center to submit the ethical approval. For us, we need a copy of the application submission that should be provided during the stage two application as well. So both startup and validation center will, once they sign the three-party financial support agreement, then you can be funded and the fund can be sent out to all the parties that have signed the agreement. So the funding and the grant payout. So the top 5 selected projects during the stage 2 will have a contract. Will conclude a contract with the chosen validation center and will receive funding of up to 80K per project. This funding is intended to cover validation services and eligible costs. Please refer to the call document for the eligible costs, just to take it into consideration. There are some costs that are not eligible to be paid out with the grant. At least 70% of the budget must be allocated to the validation center, and the payment will be distributed in 2 installments. The first installment is 50% of the lump sum contribution, and it will be sent out once the agreement is signed, and the remaining 30% will be dispersed upon approval of the final activity report. So this is the funding. So we now will go to the validation center. How you can select the validation center is selecting a validation center can impact your approval to the program. The short answer is yes. So the evaluation of validation centers is conducted during the second stage. So because ensuring a good fit between the services provided by the center and the specific need of your startup is a crucial part of the evaluation process. And this is really needed. You need to take into consideration this. Make sure that the validation center that you are selecting can actually provide you with the result that you are aiming for. So the validation center and the startup must belong to different institutes or organizations. So, for instance, a team of researchers that is affiliated to a specific university or hospital cannot conduct validation studies in the same organization. They should be different entity. In case applicants struggle to find a suitable validation center, so if you cannot find a suitable validation center, please reach out to us. We are happy to support. We can provide the suggestion through our EP PerMed network. So we have some biobanks. We have also validation centers, Libel Lab that we can actually suggest for you if you are struggling to find a suitable validation center. So the last points I've already mentioned. So that's just to make sure that you are actually registered in an EU member state and Horizon Europe associated country. So as I mentioned, we can support in the matchmaking. So this is a brief example of some potential list of validation centers that you can actually reach out to. We have biobank and health registers, database of European biological and biomedical imaging. So we have also BBMRI database of sample and data in biobank. So this is some links that you can check, and also in the stage 2, once you're selected, we are happy to support you more in depth in this aspect. So before I move to use cases, I'm not sure if there are any questions. If anyone wants to ask any questions, or I can actually move to the next section. Okay.
Hi, Mohammed. My question is how to find if the validation center is consistent with what you expect.
So this is usually done in the stage. So for the stage 1, we don't see the validation center. We are not expected to provide us with any validation center. For the stage 2, we are in direct conversation with all the 10 applicants. So once you selected, we can review it. We can see if the services that the validation center is actually aligned with what you are looking for. Then you can go ahead. So this is an ongoing conversation during the stage 2 between us and the applicants from the other side.
Okay. But there are like specific validation center.
You can select whatever validation center you want, but in case you are not able to find a suitable one, we can always support you in finding a suitable one. But we don't have a list that you need to select from. It's up to you to decide which validation center do you want to select.
As a continuation of that question, would a hospital be considered as a validation center because we'd like to propose a clinical trial?
Yes, indeed. Hospitals are also a validation center. That's definitely is. Yes, Heidi.
I have two questions. First one, we would like to find two hospitals as validation centers, and our validation needs some kind of biotechnology called an NGS sequencing that hospitals usually do not do themselves. So if they subcontract the work, can this be covered as from the allocated fund to hospitals?
Yeah, so this is a common question. So the validation center cannot subcontract another organization, but what's the workaround that we have is basically to ask this organization to be part of the full agreement. So basically, we are working with two different validation centers. So in that case, they will be both in the agreement, and we as EIT Health or EP PerMed will be sending out the specific amount for each of those applicants. For each of those validation centers. So, for instance, in the last year, so we had some cases where startup have a biobank and also a hospital as a validation center. So we have both of them were part of the agreement.
Okay, so when I applied for the grant, I list hospital and the sequencing center, both of them as validation centers. The second question, from the past year experience, can you tell me some rough estimate for success rate of the application?
Yeah, sure. So last year, I would say it was between 10 to 12%. So this is the rate of success for this specific program. We have supported 8 applicants last year.
I see. Thank you so much.
Of course, yeah. Isaac, sorry.
Thank you. My question is more based on in the initial stage one, you would be referring to the concept, the project itself, and making your decision. And after that has been confirmed, and you select the 10 companies or SMEs. We have a choice either to choose our own validation center, and if you don't agree to that, we should find a new one. I understood the whole conversation. I'm just trying to summarize it, if I understood it correctly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good summary, indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Great. Okay. I don't think we have any more raised hands, so I will finish. But we are still. Yes, Heidi.
Yeah. So the validation center can be a profit company. Is this correct? Can it be profit company?
Yeah. We don't have any
restriction.
Yeah. We don't have any restriction in that aspect.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Okay, great. So I will go through some use cases. So these use cases are basically just a way to give you an example of how usually the validation process is working. So, for instance, if we have a biobank as a validation center, let's say, for instance, a startup has a designed algorithm to estimate the genetic risk of colorectal cancer among healthy person. The algorithm was established as a result of research projects using national e-health database and genetic profiling. So the aim of this validation, for instance, is to validate the algorithm using like biobank data, genetic information, e-health data. So this is a clear need of a biobank as a validation center. So the most important thing that you need to take into consideration are the ethical approval first. So the ethical approval is a must in this aspect, and it should be in place before you can start your validation services. So this is you need to take it into consideration. So since the fast track validation is 6 month long, please make sure to have a ready to use data. So this is because a 6 month long project, it will be hard to have to ask for a sample from scratch. So you need to have ready to use data. Biobank should have a broad consent and also have the right to provide data for commercial use. So this is also some key points that you need to take into consideration if you are selecting a biobank as your validation center. So here, additional partners might be needed for bioinformatic services. So as I mentioned during my presentation, that you can connect with two different organization or validation sensors. So in that case, maybe a biobank and another service provider that can actually provide you these bioinformatic services that you are looking for. The next use case is if you have a bioimage database as a validation center. So, for instance, let's say a research team has designed an algorithm to provide accurate diagnosis based on a combination of the molecular profile and medical imaging. So, the aim of the validation is to need to validate further using Euro bioimaging database. So, what you need to take into consideration, of course, also here you need some ethical approval. You might foresee some ethical approval that should be in place for the beginning of the project, and you might also have additional partners that you need to actually for image analysis services as well. Our last use case is the Level Lab as a validation center. For instance, a startup has developed several personalized medicine tools for early diagnosis for mental health diseases. And the aim of this validation is to validate in real life test and experiment environments, feedback from end users, and co-creation of user-friendly interface in 3 languages, for instance. So this is what you need to take into consideration here is the impacts of the study is crucial. So how you design the study as well. This is also an important aspect that you need to take into consideration if you have a Level Lab as a validation center. So for the Fast Track 2025, so just a quick. So last year, as I mentioned, we had the call. We have opened the first call. So the call is still ongoing. So we have selected 8 applicants, and they are now in their validation processes. And there are some applicants that have selected 2 validation centers, some applicants that have selected only 1. We did a midterm report, and those are some testimonials regarding their feedback of the Fast Track program. One of the teams mentioned that the Fast Track program indeed lived up to the expectation to quickly advance the TRL and MRL of the technology, which are actually the aim of our program. It's to help you as a solution, as an early stage solution, to actually advance your TRL level and be ready to be on the market. So the second testimonials, it's they highlight the exceptional partner that they have, and they enjoy the collaboration, and they are also proud of the progress they have already made regarding the Vivo readout. So this is some of the testimonials from the Fast Track program from last year. So those team are still ongoing validation process, and they will finalize it in February this year. So just to give you an example of what kind of impacts that would be on your solution and what we are aiming to do within this Fast Track program. So I will wrap up and give a summary, and then we'll go to the questions. So just to wrap up, so this is like 4 bullet points that you need to make sure you have. So if you are a startup or a team researcher affiliated in an academic or healthcare research organization with a proof of concept of at least RL3, so you can apply to this program. Also, your solution needs to be aligned with the personalized medicine definition that we mentioned in the beginning of the presentation. You can apply through the link here, and you can just before the 10th of March 2026 at 4 p.m. So as I mentioned, make sure that you have applied quite early, so to avoid any late minute issues. In case your solution is very early, so if your solution is CRL maybe 2, 1, you can always check out our other calls, as Elias mentioned in the beginning. So we have some open calls that would be maybe more suited for your case specifically. And those, of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And now I will go to the questions. Yes, we have.